So today we're pruning 1-year-old trees. I'm visiting a farm we set up about 12 months ago. It's 400 trees, and as you can see, the trees are looking particularly good. They're all growing at different sizes, which is quite normal. These are all French oaks, the whole 400, and they're grown from seed, so you do get some genetic variation. And that can be in the leaf shape, the shape of the tree, and the size of the tree. So it's important in this first pruning that we set them on the right path for the future. So clearly we need to take the tree guard off to do this properly, and I'll also take this bamboo stake out of the way to give us a bit more room. The bamboo stake, by the way, is inserted into the apex of the tree guard when the tree goes in, and that stops it spinning in windy conditions. Very important, because those young trees are quite fragile when they go in, and they can get knocked around if that happens. So we're looking at this tree here, and we can see that it's not too bad, but what I notice here, and it's a common problem, is that we've had a separation or a splitting in the trunk down here. The trunk hasn't split, but the growth has split in two. And so that will become a weak point in the tree if we allow that to stay there. What happens is, once we get another metre or so growth on this tree, if we left it like that, these two branches on a particularly windy night could get, twisted around, and it would rip down at that part of the tree, and we would lose the whole tree. So at this point in time, we have to make a decision to take one of those branches off. Now, clearly this branch here is going to be our central leader. It's straighter, it's got a nice leader here, and this one is heading off to the side. So I'm going to take it off within about 2 millimeters of the trunk, make a nice clean cut. And by the way, when you're using secateurs, or you're buying secateurs, try and buy good ones. These are Falcos, they'll last you forever. And always use the clean face at the back as the cutting point against the tree. You'll get a much cleaner cut that way. So you can see I've left a collar of a couple of millimeters on there, and that is going to allow the tree to heal up much more quickly. So the next thing we're going to do is take some of the growth off the bottom. Over the time or the age of the tree, we're gradually cleaning up the trunk as we go, and it needs to be a gradual process, and allowing the head to develop over time. We never remove about more than 30% of the tree's branching or growth or foliage, because we want to leave an abundance of foliage on these young trees. Foliage creates the photosynthetic goods that the tree needs to live and grow well, and it also supplies critically to the fungus. The fungus taxes the tree quite heavily for photosynthetic good, so we need to leave lots of foliage on there. I'm going to take these lower growths off right down low at the trunk. Sometimes they're quite soft, you can just rub them off. This branch here has been squashed down on the inside of the tree guard, or it's grown in a downwards direction. It won't correct itself, so we'll take that off. Same on this side, I'll remove that. And the same over here, that can come off as well. So you can see that for the height of this tree, which is about 700, we've got approximately 200 cleared at the bottom, and that's enough for this year. We've got a nice central leader, but we've also got this side shoot here and this side shoot here that are quite dominant. They're almost as thick as the central leader. So we don't really want them to have any dominance. I'm going to shorten them back by a third, or a half, sorry. And I've shortened them back to an outward facing leaf, which is protecting an outward facing bud, and that will head out in that direction. But we'll know that next year, when we come to prune this tree in year 2, it's going to be another 40 or 50 centimetres higher. We will bring up the growth from the bottom a little bit further, and we'll get to a point where we're actually taking some of these off over the subsequent years. But it's just important that we make sure that the leader is dominant in the early years. Now, I'm pretty happy with that. There's nothing else I need to take off there, so I'm observing that 30% rule. I'm leaving as much foliage on as I possibly can, while still maintaining, the shape of the tree that we're attempting to. We're coming into spring. There's going to be a lot of foliage growth and branching growth on these trees over the next 6 to 8 weeks, but now it will grow in the habit and the shape that we want it to. I'll put the tree guard back on. Now the other thing I'm doing is making sure that these branches are all upswept. You can do that just by pushing your hand down and running it up, and we'll stop those branches growing downwards because they won't correct themselves after that. I replace the bamboo stake so it doesn't spin. Push that in about 20-25 centimetres, and our tree is ready for spring growth.